termucking tea.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Dugan, and this is Tea Time with Zhao. Today, my friends, among the vast subjects I could discuss with their influence on U.S. history, today we will be spilling the tea on tea. Chinese ancient legend says that tea was discovered by emperor and herbalist Shen Nong of the Han Dynasty.
How glorious my garden is. Beautiful. Sniff the aroma.
While researching different herbs, he accidentally poisoned himself 72 times when a leaf flew into his mouth. He began to chew on it, and it miraculously healed him. While the discovery of the plant occurred 6,000 years ago, the Chinese didn't start boiling and drinking tea until 4,500 years later. Tea became popularized in Europe through trade along the Silk Road until eventually spread to the New World during the Age of Colonization. Let's go to the thought bubble. Tea was first introduced to North America in the mid-1600s by the Dutch in New Amsterdam, or present-day New York. Tea was very popular among the upper-class colonists until the late 1700s when the British East India Company demanded a full monopoly over tea trade in the colonies. It was then when the Tea Act, a heavy tax on the sale of tea, was put in place, which made the colonists very angry. It was at this point that the consumption of tea was deemed unpatriotic and the popularity of coffee rose. Anger over the Tea Act rose to a point where colonists decided to take radical action. It was then when the Sons of Liberty boarded an East India Company ship and threw 342 chests of tea into the water. This was a huge event during the Revolution, as it fed into the colonists' rebellious attitudes, leading up to the Revolutionary War. Tea consumption in the new United States began to pick up in the mid-1850s following the fall of the British East India Company. The new invention of the clipper ship, one of the fastest trade ships at the time, made it easy for America to trade tea directly with China instead of through England under the Navigation Acts. Tea, along with other items, became the stars of a period in which trade between China and America flourished. In the following century, tea revolutionized to experience many innovations toward wider spread enjoyment of the beverage. During the 1904 World's Fair, informally held in St. Louis, Missouri, tea merchant Richard Blashinden was having trouble selling hot tea in the particularly hot weather. He then had the idea of putting ice into the tea, and thus creating the popular drink we know as iced tea. Tea culture continued to refine and expand after the People's Republic of China lifted its ban on trade with America after the communist takeover in East Asia in the 1970s. With this came the introduction of finer teas such as white tea, yellow tea, and green tea imported from China into America.
Now that you're not communist, it'll be a pleasure doing business with you.
中美之间的贸易将蓬勃发展。
Okay. Oh, it's time for the mystery tea.
Wow.
Today we have special guest Key and Nani Royer.
Thank you.
You know how this goes. I smell a tea, I guess the tea. If I get it wrong, I get punished. And if I get it right, then I get it right.
Yep.
Thai tea, oolong. This is bean tea or coffee. I thought you were looking.
Cabin Fade. Sniff the aromas.
I got it.
I don't know.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Oolong!
Dang it. Oh no.
What did you say, Key?
I said Earl Grey.
What did you say?
You said oolong.
What did you say?
I said Earl Grey.
You said oolong.
Wait, you said
Okay, I said oolong.
You said Earl Grey? Oolong is correct.
What? god, it's so hot.
Next
On my
one.
forehead.
Acquire a Jewish nose. Smell the money.
Where is it?
It's right in front of you.
I got it! Ooh, this is weird. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Earl Grey!
Correct.
Yes!
Incorrect.
High five! Wait, are you holding it?
Sniff.
Me?
Then you no. Jam thing. Move your head. Okay, go on.
I already know what it is. I already know what it
You know
is.
this?
Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Toffee! Oh.
What did you say?
no. I said coffee.
You gotta move. Tighty. Gee, I wonder.
Where is it? Oh. Ah. Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Bean! Coffee bean!
You said
Coffee.
bean.
You said
She just
bean?
said bean.
Coffee bean!
She said, she
Coffee
said bean.
bean.
She said
Did you say
bean.
No, I mean the coffee one! I meant the coffee one!
I don't think so.
No, I really did!
Lauren.
I wasn't paying with Georgia did.
And this has
I feel
been
it won't hurt that
tea
much.
time.
Now, since I know you've all been waiting for it, comes the part where I explain the origins of the greatest evolution of tea to exist. Like ever. In Taiwan during the 1980s, young children would look forward to a refreshing cup of tea outside the schoolyards at competing stands. To actually mix in the flavorings, shaking was required, resulting in the bubbles rising at the top that give the famous drink its name. Today, bubble tea is undoubtedly the best drink on earth, especially popular among teens who can't afford anything above $5.
I counted it though, so it should be.
What is so many drinks? 1, 2, 3. Oh gosh, I forgot. 2, 3.
You found it first!
You have to wait until I has to shuffle it. No. Dang it. Here's the termucking tea.
How do you think tea was invented?
Someone from China.
Like a leaf fell into someone's water and they were like, hey, that's pretty good, y'all.
Yeah, like that. In China.
In China.
Okay.
I'm about to finish it.
What do you think is tea's influence on society today?
It tastes good.
A lot of times, like, people meet over tea, so it's like part of the social aspect, and like people are always like, we want to go get boba, so it's like communal, and it's part of teen and any generation's culture.
And it tastes good.
Tea's purpose to be shared throughout history has remained consistent over the span of time and the span of cultures. As a result, many different variations of enjoying the beverage have developed around the world as representations of each culture. No matter how you like it, hot, cold, bitter, or sweet, the one thing we can all agree on is the unique power of tea to create fellowship and camaraderie that sees past our differences and shows that truly nothing beats a good tea time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Tea Time is produced and directed by Jan Ferry Duque. Our script supervisor is not Danica Johnson. This show is dedicated to my high school history teacher Taylor Pickett, and our graphics team is not Thought Bubble.